Welcome to episode 11 of the Alphaville-Podcast. This podcast is about all the songs on the upcoming album called Eternally Yours. And I want to ask you about one of my favorite Alphaville songs, A Victory of Love. Why did you choose it to be part of the symphonic album?
First rate. We chose all the favorites from. Second thought was they should somehow work in a symphonic arrangement. But the second point turned out to be completely unimportant because I think every Alphaville song can be interpreted with a symphonic orchestra, because this is because they're all part of a common background, of common heritage, which probably comes from very early contact with classical music, which I experienced in my life as a young boy. Victory of Love is a very interesting song from its origin, because I remember it is one of the homesick songs, of the Berlin homesick songs that we wrote during the time when we had been in Münster. And it tells from a very intense experience that we had. One of our friends had a car. I mean, we were pretty broke and poor at the time, and but one of our friends had a car, and we had a couple of smokes and drinks, and it was really a high time, and we were enjoying ourselves very much. And we all jumped into the car and drove to the column of Victory. And at that time there were no lights, so you could drive around the column as many times as you liked. So we drove around, and then suddenly the driver said, "Oh God, I have the feeling that we're driving up into the sky. I see the golden statue there." And it was real like that. We were all totally excited about the blue sky and the golden statue, and we were encircling only the square again and again, and it was like, like this floating feeling. And the song is simply about that, about this floating feeling, this excitement, and the angel in the song is this golden angel standing on the top of this column.
There's also this beat change at the beginning, right? Where it's a bit slow, and then
there was an accident. Nobody has any explanation about that. I mean, it changed from syncopated to a straight beat, and I mean, nobody did it on purpose. It just happened during the production.
I'm glad it happened, though, because it's amazing. It sounds
it's
really
one of
great.
those. Yeah, it's one of those positive mistakes that you do.
Yeah. And also in the title, you talk about success. And what is success for you?
Freedom. Freedom is success. I mean, there are many people who are afraid of freedom, because it means responsibility, and it means that you get along, on your own, and all these things. So they prefer to live in circumstances that are probably allows them less freedom, but more security. So I believe more in security. I think the fulfillment in life is, to obtain freedom as much as you can, and I think that's the greatest blessing that you can have. And I mean, freedom is also in these days a very, very important subject, because at the moment, what happens in the Ukraine, for instance, is also the question, about freedom. If it's possible that somebody can just overtake another country, complete innocent country, just because he's more powerful, and if we cannot allow this. We people that believe in freedom cannot allow this. Everybody who believes in freedom cannot allow this.
What would you do if you had not become a successful musician?
An unsuccessful musician.
perfect answer. Take it. And what do you recommend to newcomer artists to be successful or to become successful?
I mean, there's no
Recipe.
correct answer, or the answer I could give are they are all boring, and it's definitely not be yourself or something.
Why is that?
Because it's most of the people are probably very uninteresting. I mean, when you are an artist or a musician or whatever, and you want to sell your art, you should be interesting in a way. You should do something with your personality, and you should be inventive, whatever. So you should also think about, that you probably have to adopt an additional, not a different, but an additional personality. I mean, my bourgeois name is Hartwig Schierbaum, and my artist name is Marian Gold. And I mean, I exist in these two spheres. On one hand, I'm Marian Gold. On the other hand, I'm Hartwig Schierbaum. I'm Hartwig Schierbaum with my family, with friends who know me from the time before I became a well-known musician. And for most of the public and everybody, I'm this person called Marian Gold. It's also a very true person. It's a real person, but it's a complete different person. So to be authentic doesn't mean that you have to be yourself. To be authentic means that you have the capability to sell yourself in a pleasant way, in a way that is acceptable and that is inventive, and I think the most important thing is that you really believe in the things you do, in the art you do, in the music you write. For me, it would be impossible to sell things that I would not believe in, that I could not believe in. So, but all the other things, it's up to the person. You have to think about how you go, who you are when you go on stage, for instance. So I mean, I think it's important as an artist to reinvent you. And for instance, I reinvent myself when I go on stage, and I never know. Before I go on stage, I never know what kind of person I'll be when I'm on stage. The only thing I can be for sure, which is for sure, is that I be somebody else, and it's just great. It's also for me every time it's a big surprise to go on stage with this question. Who am I going to be tonight? And I'm on the stage, and then I know who I am, and yeah, it's an interesting thing. Name is a very good example for sometimes you get ideas from the strangest sides. We had this house in the southwest of France where we did the pre-production for the album Salvation, from which the song derives, and we had just written the music